Hi, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of People of SCL. I'm Shandy Burrows.
And I'm Ryan Devine.
And today we have with us
Eli Peacock.
All right. So obviously I already said your name, but if you can say your full name for us, what state you're from, and your age, that'd be awesome.
Sure. I'm Eli Peacock. I am from Georgia. I currently go to the University of Georgia, and I am a first-year undergrad. I'm 18 years old.
Cool. And what are you majoring in?
I am majoring in criminal justice and minoring in classical culture and soon to add a minor in Latin.
Oh, awesome. So what drove you to wanting to do criminology?
So for me, it sounds a little silly. There's not a lot of lawyers in my family. A lot of the criminal justice experience has been on the defendant side, on the other side of the system. And ever since I was little, it's always been wanting to stand up for the people in my life like that. And on top of that, it's been something, just being a loud and argumentative person. It's been something that people have always been like, oh my God, you should go into this. And yeah, I've found myself really interested and really enjoying law and pursuing criminal justice to go into criminal law.
Cool, that's awesome. All right, so you're minoring in classics, you said, hopefully adding Latin. How did you get started in Latin? Like high school stories, anything like that?
So funny enough, it actually ties well into my dreams to be a lawyer. In 8th grade, they had a 0 period class. So you could go early to the high school and start taking Latin 1. And I convinced my parents because I was like, Latin seems so cool. I was really into the Greek and Roman mythology, and the big sticker for me was this would help me for law school. So I really wanted to take Latin. I convinced my parents to thankfully, drive me every day. And from that point, I kind of got hooked. So after 8th grade, I took Latin 1, and then at my high school, I took Latin every semester I could and ended up taking up through Latin 7 and loved every minute of it.
That's awesome. So who was a big figure for you, either literature-wise in Latin or physically, like your Latin teacher? Do you have anyone you look up to that you've met throughout your Latin experience?
Sure. My Latin teacher has been a huge influence on me. He ended up being one of my closest and favorite teachers in high school, and kind of served as a mentor for all 4 years. And even to this day, I still do everything I can to keep in touch. On top of that, I definitely had a lot of really impactful experiences with people I met at National Convention, at my first ever NatCon. In fact, one of those people who I felt like really made me feel included and involved in the organization is you, Shandy. I felt like you were one of the SCLers who really, kind of was almost a shepherd, kind of ushering me in to the Senior Classical League. So yeah, I have my Latin teacher and some wonderful SCLers like you to thank.
I just wanted to be known I was not fishing for a compliment, but I'm really glad I got one. That was very nice to hear, actually.
Of course.
Okay, cool. And so talking about nationals, obviously you were a big key figure in helping us with pretty much every event that you could. Unless they were happening at the same time, then you couldn't be in 2 places. But even if you couldn't be in 2 places, you tried to be.
For better or for worse.
Yeah. What was your favorite experience from this past convention specifically?
Well, I know it sounds silly, and I promise I'm not just trying to butter up the interviewer here, but really, the very first event that I helped volunteer at was probably the one that stood out most to me. It was track and field, and
that was a good day.
It was, and at track and field, admittedly, things were all over the place. There was kind of a bit of confusion about what we were going to do, and I ended up getting assigned to help judge high jump, and that really, even though it was a really minor thing, that really made me feel like an SCLer, and getting to work with you and it was really fun. It was a great day, and that event really stands out to me. On top of that, I really enjoyed basketball. That was my first shadow chairing experience, and I felt that really, I don't know, it made me all the more excited to go to all the events I could from that point on.
Cool. Yeah, track was a day. I had woken up late that day because I had a headache.
Mm-hmm.
and I was in such a bad mood. And then they were like, "Oh, Shandy, you missed the main things you could sign up for. Just go with Eli over there." And I was like, "That's fine. I have a headache anyways." And then Eli turned my mood around like 180. It was awesome. Okay, awesome. So last convention, 2022, you were a slasher, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
How many total national conventions have you been to?
That is the one and only for me. But definitely first, definitely not last.
I had no idea that was your first. Okay,
yeah,
awesome.
you went head in for the.
I tried to dive in as much as I could.
Years.
How was it kind of going between the JCL and the SCL stuff? Because you were so involved with the SCL stuff, but you were there with your Georgia chapter. So
it definitely felt good to have kind of the best of both worlds. I'd say it was really cool to still get to like go and watch and support my state in Kurtaman, and it was good to still, have fellowship and have that sense of community and closeness with especially all the other seniors who were also, like me, graduating and going into the senior classical league rather than the JCL. And so it was definitely a tough balancing act, I'd say, but I really enjoyed getting to feel included in the SCL and at the same time still getting to be with the people who I'd grown so close to over the past 5 years in the JCL.
Cool. Let's talk about your personal life, if we can, to shift from Latin. What's your favorite pastimes? What do you like to do in your free time?
Well, funny enough, a new little nerdy obsession of mine has been with the microfilms. I'm actually in the library right now, and my friends give me a hard time because I am now often just in the basement of the library, kind of puttering away. And it's been a lot of fun. It's just really cool to go through old newspapers. One thing I've been doing is there's this one FBI file that I've been going through. It has like 12,000 files on it, but I've just been kind of scrolling through and just kind of for fun. And I know it sounds a little silly, but it's been kind of a great way to spend my time and still feel like I'm learning new things, but doing it in a extracurricular and fun way for me. On top of that, I also have much less academic hobbies too. I play video games and like to kind of decompress watching a movie with friends. Those are definitely big pastimes too.
Fair enough. The microfilm thing is cool. I work at the archive and I work with the microfilm sometimes. So, all right, Ryan, you got anything else?
I don't think so. I mean, I was trying to think of like a lighthearted stuff.
I got one. If you want lighthearted, I got a lighthearted one.
Yeah.
Eli, tell us your best joke.
My best joke?
Best joke. I know you have to have one. Please tell us your best joke.
Oh my gosh, that's tough. I'm more of I'll admit, I'm more of a humorous story kind of guy, but I'll admit that would take quite a while. But yeah, no, that's a good question, and it's a question I'll definitely be thinking of an answer to, and hopefully next time I'm asked that kind of question, I will have like a good joke loaded in the chamber on that.
Well, I expect you to text me it when you figure it out. Absolutely.
I will. Yeah, right, most definitely.
I think I got one. I did pick up one.
Okay.
So
okay.
You've taken 7 years of Latin. I asked my students this pretty recently, but if you could go back in time and talk with any classical figure from history, who would that be and why?
That's a great question. One thing, and I know definitely very, very mythical figure, but I'd want to talk to a figure like Medea or Medusa or Circe. I feel like a lot of women in myth and women in classical study are very quickly demonized and perhaps misrepresented. And so I would be fascinated to kind of go back and, hear the other side of some of those stories. So I think that would be kind of a really cool thing to do, and I think shine light on a perspective that's not often talked about in classical study.
Eli, you earned all my respect by saying women and myth. I just want to get that. I have one more. I know you seem like someone that's kind of hard to boast about yourself. You just kind of seem like that. When people start boasting about you, you tend to get shy. Give me your elevator pitch of what makes you different from other people.
Well, for one, I think you're right on that. My family give me a hard time because I do have a lot of confidence, but I definitely am not the kind of person to pitch myself too hard, but I'll give it a shot. I think what makes me stand apart is that I'm not a one-trick pony. I think that I think the term jack of all trades really implies, master of none. And I wouldn't quite ascribe myself to that, but I'd say that I have a broad range of interests. And I think one thing that I really like to focus on academically and personally is a lot of intersectionality. And I think that's something that a lot of people, will be someone who's interested in crime or interested in classics. And there's not a lot of crossover. There's not a lot of thought given to different factors that might be at play in a situation. And so I think my intersectionality, my focus on intersectionality kind of makes me stand apart as a student. I think as a person, I'm very loud and very confident. I'm very willing to give my 2 cents. And also one thing that I'm proud of is I feel like my ability to help bring the 2 cents of others. Sometimes people's voices aren't broadcast as loud. And I think it's important to do a good job of making sure everyone's voice is brought to the table. And that's one thing I pride myself on is trying to make sure that I'm not just, monopolizing a conversation, but I'm trying to help bring other people's thoughts and feelings into the room too.
Love that. That's awesome. Ryan, do you have anything else for Eli?
I think you said it best. Okay.
No. I think you've done good. All right. Well, thank you so much, Eli. This has been an amazing interview. You're still a fantastic person, which we already knew. If you want to check out some cool stuff in our archive, come to UA and out in Tuscaloosa, and I will show you around for sure.
I definitely will. If I'm ever in Alabama, that's the first place I'll be.
Please. It's not the best town, but I am here, and we have a cool archive. So
that balances things out.
It does. All right, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Eli.
Thank you both. Yeah. No, it was a great conversation, and as always, it's a pleasure to see you both. So, thank you both so much.